Did the murderer take him into this room? Or was he already here?
What a well of knowledge this tome is. Dallas is such a dear lending it to me. Everything's spick and span. Nothing left to do, really. Why, you're looking a bit more chipper. Yes. Looks like that collar fits you snugly enough. Nice bit of work, even if I do say so myself. There you are. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters. Don't you dare! If you violate the virtue of my carpet, I'll do a good thing worse than put a collar around your neck.
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutinizing gander.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit too generous with that sedative. Oh, well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route to Fort Joy. A new life awaits, and if you're a particularly good girl, perhaps a cure as well. An end to Source. For good. Why, for my peace of mind, of course. Why don't you try casting one of those Source spells of yours? See what happens.
No marks, no indications.
Currents of magic surge inside you, boiling, bursting, then breaking, only to fade back into your soul like rain into the earth.
My, look at the concentration on your face. All will, but no result. There you have it. See? The collar's function. It neuters you of sorts. Makes you unable to cast Source. For your own peace of mind, of course. Yours and the whole world's. You've been collared and you've been told why. There really is no need for you to linger. You've been collared and you've been told why. There really is no need for you to linger. You've been collared and you've been told why. There really is no need for you to linger.
It seems as though there's a pattern in the blood flow.
You've been collared and you've been told why. There really...
She frowns and peers at you closely, resting the back of one hand on your forehead and taking your pulse with the other.
Delusions such as these are rare, but not unheard of. I recommend a cup of mulled wine and another night's sleep. Just take it easy.
Good gods! There's been a murder here.
This is a rare kind of magic.
A young magister stands pale and silent. Her knuckles whiten around her weapon as you pass. Behind the Magister, a bloodied mass lies in a heap. Gore and limbs lie at odd angles. You can't make out a face amid the mess.
There's been a murder. The sorcerer was killed by one of your own. Lucky you were busy getting your collar fitted at the time, or you'd be a suspect like the rest of them. Waters is investigating. She'll figure out who did it. Always does. You surprised? You're one of them. You know what sorcerers are capable of? Whoever did this found a way around their collar and killed a man. Small ones this time, thank the gods. We'll find out who did it, one way or another.
No known associates. In fact, he seemed quite averse to spending time with the others.
Ugly sight, isn't it? Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no Voidwalker followed the source that did this.
She looks up at you with a mirthless smile.
I was on duty in your room when the murder happened. You were asleep the whole time. Didn't even stir. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Unless you can commit murder in your sleep, of course. Finn was killed by Source. If a Magister could do that, there wouldn't be a Magister. It looks more like a passenger managed to slip their collar. And the rest, well, you see the evidence in front of you. Listen, I could use someone to keep their ears open among the passengers. Sometimes they clam up in front of a uniform. Bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. How about that? Not in here, it isn't. You let me know if you hear anything. Whoever did this is dangerous.
Everything's spick and span. Nothing left to do, really.
hatch is blocked. I'll need to find another way.
You put a knuckle in it. I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
An elf sits tucked away in a dark spot, lazily rolling dice onto the surface of a barrel. They sound like the dry cackling of an old witch.
Snake eyes.
She chuckles.
I bet that's just what they'll look like.
I hear anyway.
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet.
Rolling dice. Deciding fates. Don't worry, honey. It isn't yours.
She looks you up and down with the merest hint of a coy smile on her lips.
Never say never, though.
She eyes you quite seriously.
Not the future, no. But I can read the past in flesh. One of the perks of being an elf, you see. I'm quite good at it, too. I could lick your arm and tell you how you spent the night before last. Shall I?
She chuckles once more.
That red-cheeked refusal tells me more than licking you would. But suit yourself, darling.
The woman keeps rolling her dice. She pays you no further notice.
It was one of them. I know it.
Knuckle in it. I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one
The
by
woman
one.
keeps rolling her...
We just skipped to the part where I reassure you and you shut up.
You think me mad?
Mad?
A broad dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard is a cascade of meticulous plaits, each one braided through with golden medallions. He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open his eyes.
Listen up, kiddo. You hear that?
Got this wolf on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with him.
The ship, of course.
I've nothing to hide.
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
I shall hold my head steady.
And?
Never thought you'd end up in prison.
Heh! A common sort of sound, isn't it? Where there's talk, there's health. That's all you hear, though. Listen close. There now, just like that.
Squeak!
Aha!
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back. The other catches you before you lose your footing.
There, you heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, kiddo. Good news.
You are chill, aren't you?
I ain't saying nothing.
Bloody dwarves. I'll come back to you.
It's the wheel. Don't you see, you beautiful idiot? Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means we're heading east. Pardon my beard. That means if we've been travelling for, yes, only 10.34 nautical miles to Fort Joy.
Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
Well, you got this one.
Yeah, no indeed, Gero. But that ain't my final destination.
We'll hand you right over the side of this ship with it.
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all, thank ye kindly, Gero.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
He continues stroking his beard, a beatific smile on his lips, and doesn't acknowledge you anymore.
If you'll be pardoning me, I'll be much obliged.
Maybe it has the Magister's more concern than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly
You
don't
one
know
of
the
them,
first thing.
a divine order loyal. They killed a sorcerer, you know. They'll hide the evidence well enough, but make no mistake.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard.
That right? Thornton Ben Mist.
I didn't do nothing, okay? It was one of them. One of your people. Human.
Well, you've got this wolf on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll
If
hand
you'll
you
be
right-
pardoning me, I'll be much obliged.
It was one of them. I know it.
Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up? Mad? No. Insufferable?
Wow! You look cool. I like your hair. I like your eyes. I like your colour. I have one too.
Long enough for me to listen.
I know you. I heard you sing once. Before. Out there. Wow.
Hey! I know who you are. You're a singer. My mum likes you.
Name? The Divine Order wants to know. I don't like comedy. Well, you aren't here on my list. Scrammy, we're trying to catch a killer here.
I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder.
The elf is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia. He looks up, his big round eyes scanning your body, absorbing every detail. He reaches out and takes your hand, turning it this way and that, examining it from every angle. Finally, he pinches your skin, gently tugging at it.
Fascinating.
He sits back and returns to his book, flicking quickly from page to page, completely oblivious to your presence.
Got this wolf on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hand you right over the side of this ship.
I am reading. Is this not evident? My book is in my hands, my face turned away from you. Perhaps my eyes not on the page. Damnable things.
He grabs a metal plate and watches his reflection with one eye as the other shifts left to right and up to down. He repeats the maneuver with the opposite eye.
No, they are working quite adequately. It seems you are at fault. Predictable, really. Oh? Oh, I see. I crossed a cultural taboo. How difficult. You have my apologies, human. Perhaps I should demand the same from those red-cloaked humans. They laid their hands on me more than once. Perhaps. Perhaps not. Understanding is all rather relative. Take this book, for example. I understand all of it, and yet none of it makes sense. It is simultaneously too detailed and insufficient. I know the beginning of this tale and the end, but I am rather missing the middle. Tell me, what do you know of our world's history? Most unusual, and if it's not too rude to suggest, not much of an answer. No, I want to know about the Celestial. I want to know about your gods. This text tells me that they created all creatures, but nothing of what came before. Where did these gods come from? Who are their people? Where are the others of their kind? Of course you don't have any useful information. Why did I expect anything else? Now please, run along. I have a world to decipher.
No amount of pestering will get the elf to take his eyes off his book or respond to your questions.
Do you mind? I'm really rather busy.
Here's the register, ma'am. Good, good. Magister Williams has just about done with the last passenger. You faring okay so far?
He tugs the collar of his uniform and chuckles.
Sorry you're upset, ma'am, but we all wear what we wear for a reason. You head on in now. Williams will get you sorted fast.
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen. Well, well. What have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size you up, shall we? See if you'll do.
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
There's some discoloration, but I've seen worse. After all, one can't expect to find prime merchandise on a squalid little ship like this. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook? Ah, music to my beleaguered stomach. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor? Oh, but to feel the caress of satin on my scarlet skin once more. A most satisfactory answer indeed. On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after. The very basics, then. I suppose that's a start. So, 3 questions asked, 3 questions answered. Let's evaluate, shall we? As per your own testimony, you can cook, tailor, and groom. Well, that just about settles it. I offer you my sincerest congratulations. As of now, you are my slave. You should probably come to terms with the fact that you've half a mind, full stop. Rein in your impertinence, will you? I'm a fair man, but I won't spare the rod. Anyway, you may leave me for a moment. We'll go over your duties once we reach Fort Joy. Now shoo! When I want you to attend me, I'll whistle. Until then, go stand in a discreet corner somewhere, will you? How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots and rotten tubers, too. Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind this very wall. The indignity. Who we are, what we've done, they mean less than nothing as long as these collars choke us.
I'm trying to concentrate. They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them. I'll give you that knuckle if you can carry it on. One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one. Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up? You think me mad? Mad? No. Insufferable? Surely. What are you trying to hear, anyway? I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
Ask what you must. I've nothing to hide.
Seems to me you should be a little more afraid. There's a killer about, after all.
Till overboiling a bit of cabbage becomes a crime, I shall hold my head steady.
One of them. I know it. Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to concentrate. They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them. I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
I'm busy watching for clues, sorcerer. Go take your sub-story somewhere else.
They're picking us off one by one.
A scruffy man lounges against the wall with scarred arms folded. A sly smile playing on his face, he stares across at the Magister guarding him. Noticing you, he straightens and beckons for you to come closer.
Watch your back, new fish. There's a murderer on board, and I'd bet 3 months' pay it's this trampy fan.
Rolling his eyes at the Magister's warning, the man named Ifan beckons again. He leans in and adjusts your collar with a sharp tug, balancing its weight so it no longer presses unpleasantly on your neck. He winks.
Pinches less that way, right?
Hocking a phlegmy gobbet in your general direction, the sullen Magister settles back to his task of glowering at Ifan. And now, you.
We used to know each other, more's the pity. I was his commander many, many, many moons ago. Isn't that right, Vic?
Standing far back from Ifan, the tight-faced Magister draws one finger across his throat in an elaborate fashion, but says nothing. Ifan grins, flashing pointed white teeth.
Same as he was at 14 years old. Only difference is somebody gave him a bigger sword and now he's Johnny Big Pants. Long story. Maybe I'll tell you about it in the Joy. Away from interested parties. No. The dead man, Finn, is it? I'd no business with him. And I wouldn't put a man down without good reason.
He glances over at Magister Victor, who's staring back at him with pointed intensity.
Damn shame sheer annoyance isn't reason enough. The Joy, I've heard a lot. Nothing good. No surprise there, since Bishop Alexander runs the show. Wonder if we'll get to meet the Ringmaster himself.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Not interested in the son of the Divine himself. I don't blame you one bit. But Vic here will blow a blood vessel if he hears you talking like that.
What are you conspiring about over there? You! What's your name?
Oh, don't mind him. Vic's just got a bee in his bonnet. And that bee is me.
Name?
Magister Victor looks at you suspiciously, then scrawls something illegible down in a tiny notebook. He scowls at you as he stows the notebook back in his voluminous robes.
Away with you, at once.
Ifan performs an elaborate pantomime of keeping quiet, one finger in front of his lips as he leans back against the wall. Ifan raises his eyebrows, but shakes his head at your attempts to communicate, glancing sideways at the angry face of Magister Victor.
What? Didn't make it clear the first time. Scram.
Good find.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up? Insufferable, surely. What are you trying to hear anyway? I'll tell you. Keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
Shoot to kill.
That right?
On edge of
I always knew you'd turn
What
out
on earth is the
big
matter?
nest.
Murder
Your
most
kind
foul.
always hung
I'm
close
strong
to
to
the
suspect you
fire.
know all about it.
Surrounded
Do you?
campfire.
Well, perhaps you're absolutely right.
You've got this wolf on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with him.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen courses dinner, and I don't intend to do away with
This again?
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magisters more concerned than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me.
This again?
You don't know the first thing about sauce.
It was one of them. I know it.
Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you Those bubbles trained on her, and if she tries to run, shoot it.
Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, sorcerer, go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
It means your journey draws to a close. Do stick around for its finale, though, because...
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts Source, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
What's happened?
The Magister lies on the floor, unconscious and bleeding from a dire-looking wound.
Oh, the hatch is blocked. I'll need to find another way. hatch is blocked. I'll need to find another way. Damn! That doesn't bode well. Onwards and upwards. Gods damn it! Need to get off this wreck, and quick. Not long before this thing snaps into splinters. What fresh hell is this? Something's pounding on the hull.
on the door was painted recently, judging from its pungent scent. You don't recognize the symbol, but it's clearly warning you away. You press your palm against the door to open it. The wood feels neither cold nor warm, but simply grey. The color drains from your hand, and you are left numb. It doesn't budge. The moment you touch the door, your belly goes hollow and your skin goes pale. The door groans open, but an ashen shadow clouds your mind. The moment you touch the door, the door groans.
Something's breaking through. What the hell's a death? I need to get out of here now.
Pass through the door and are suddenly face to face with an undead. His skull is bizarrely angular and a glorious jewel sits in the middle of his forehead. The skeleton is quickly leafing through a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia, muttering to himself.
No, no, no! What damn fools record knowledge on a pulped tree? It catches fire, it turns into must when wet, it cannot even resist acid! No wonder they're so bloody ignorant.
The skeleton looks up and notices you for the first time.
Oh, it's you. Shouldn't you be running and screaming or some such?
The skeleton groans and looks back to his book, frantically flipping from page to page.
Yes, indeed. It's the look of someone that wants to read the bloody book he's holding. Now, if you're really quite finished, I believe you have lifeboats to flee to. Please, I was no more an elf than you are those rags you're wearing. I had a mask, rather ingeniously designed, which allowed me to take that primitive form. A mask that was stolen by that damned witch after her little scene. Still, she'll drown with the rest of these fools, and I will simply pluck my mask from her cold, dead hands. Indeed, just as sensible as getting off a sinking ship and leaving a fellow to his business. I would say good day, but it seems quite likely that you're about to die a rather terrible death, so...
The skeleton shrugs casually and returns to his book.
Thank the gods. By divine grace, who was that howling?
He eyes the collar circling your neck and reaches a hand towards his blade.
Another sorcerer! Even if I knew how to rip that thing off, I wouldn't. Some crazy banshee comes screaming through, and now we got void bugs swarming up top. Saw it coming, I did. Sorcerer mutiny. Go on then. Find a place to hide and stay there.
This is Bishop Alexander. Not bad. Not bad at all.
And you thought Rivellon was flat.
What will happen to us?
You need to find a hiding place. And quick.
I have plans for you, child. Rise.
Honorable Dallas, we lost a ship sailing sorcerer prisoners to Fort Joy. We assume some escaped and broke their collars. Their vile magic lured the Voidwoken. All who were aboard are presumed dead. Yours faithfully into eternity, High Judge Orivan.
Well, the Order's right about one thing. First comes Source, then comes Voidwoken. Am I the lone survivor? Well, thanks, disembodied voice.